Why can so many Jamaicans not freely access the beaches in their own country? Well, that's due to a specific piece of legislation called the Beach Control Act. It was created in 1956, long before the country even gained independence. The law states that the foreshore and the seafloor belongs to the Crown, which essentially means that the state can decide who may use the shoreline. Before that law, coastal space was often used by local communities and fishermen. However, during this period of time, tourism was starting to become very popular, so private developers started purchasing a lot of beach properties and fencing off the land from locals. This sparked a lot of anger and outrage from multiple communities across the country. However, to really understand how it all changed, we need to see how things were before the law was created. From the early 1900s up to the 1940s, Jamaica was under British rule and all major policies were set by a small group of officials and powerful landowners. Many beaches across the island were not formally owned, so most people used the shorelines for fishing, washing, and leisure. During this time, the tourism sector was growing and the island was attracting more and more wealthy visitors. So, as a result, property owners and new hotels started to claim exclusive rights of the shoreline around their properties using fences and signs. For locals who have been using these places for generations, the change felt sudden and unfair. In response to complaints from both sides, the colonial government formed a commission of inquiry to study the use and control of the foreshore and the seafloor. The commission held hearings across the island. Fishermen, residents, hotel owners, and officials all gave their own statements. Fishermen spoke about losing access to frequently used beaches. They spoke about having to haul their boats longer distances and losing catches. Residents spoke about losing places for family gatherings and local life. Hotel owners also gave their point of view and warned that unregulated public access could end up harming the tourist industry. They argued for control to prevent littering and to be able to manage the visitor experience. Officials were sympathetic to their view, especially since tourism was a source of income for the island. 2 years after the Commission report, the Beach Control Act became law in 1956. It made clear that rights to the foreshore and the seafloor were vested in the Crown. Section 3 specified that no person had rights in or over the foreshore except as given by the Act or the government. The Act required licenses for use of the foreshore. Anyone who wanted to operate commercially, fish from a particular spot, or manage part of the beach had to apply for permission. Licenses could be granted, renewed, or revoked by the authorities. This gave officials broad power to shape who used the coast and for what purpose. The Act also allowed the government to classify certain shores as public beaches. Once the law was in place, many changes followed. In regions where tourism was already popular, hotels applied for foreshore licenses and effectively gained control of the entire beach at their property. Defenders of the law said the license helped to protect the coast and support economic growth. They framed the law as a tool for better management, conservation, and tourism development. For many people, however, the results looked like exclusion and loss, as public spaces turned into controlled zones that are only accessible to tourists or paying visitors. In recent years, public pressure has grown. Activist groups, community leaders, and ordinary citizens have pushed back against narrow control of the shorelines. Petitions, protests, and legal cases have highlighted the gap between law and social expectation. Some cases have used the concept of prescriptive rights, asking courts to recognize long-standing community use. Other efforts press for legislative reform to guarantee clearer public access, and thanks to social media, these cases are getting more attention and support. Jamaica's beach access story isn't just about fences or developers. It goes back to a 1956 law based on colonial ideas that gave the state and certain licensed interests control over the shoreline. That one law ended up shaping local hotel developments for almost 70 years and still affects who can enjoy the beaches today.